La Liga is back and in full swing, and Alex Kirkland could not be happier. Taking in the action all weekend, Alex, we just saw Atletico Bilbao against Atletico Madrid. Couple of talking points that I can't wait to get into with you. 1-1 is the end result there. Would you say it's a fair result, given the fact that we're taking into account that, you know, everyone is probably shaking off a little bit of rust?
Yeah, I think it was just about a fair result. That's not to say that it's a result that either team or either coach will be totally happy with. On the balance of play, Atleti had one or two really good chances they maybe could have taken up against a very good Athletic goalkeeper in Unai Simon. There was some good news for Simeone's men. I guess the biggest good news is the goal-scoring return of Diego Costa. It had been almost 150 days since Costa last scored for Atletico. Now, in fairness, we haven't been playing football for a lot of those days, you know, since March. But even before that, that's a goalless run that stretched back to October. So that's very good news. Simeone and Atletico, they need Diego Costa in form, especially if they're going to make the top four.
Well, speaking of Diego Costa being in form, of course, they needed, probably some would be questioning if they needed an Alvaro Morata. I know that before, when we were talking about previewing this match, you said it was unlikely that Simeone said that we will see these two playing together, you know, because of fatigue issues. And like I said, everyone's a bit rusty trying to get back in the gear. Do you think if they did start together as the usual, you know, strike force that they are, would it have made a difference for Atleti?
Yeah, Simeone was unusually kind of forthright before the game. And he laid it out. He said, look, just so that, you know, you guys don't cause a fuss when you see my team selection. He basically said, I'm not going to pick Costa and Morata together. He said, my team aren't ready to support playing with two proper strikers. And I guess he meant physically. He wanted an extra midfield body in there. It turned out to be Marcus Llorente, as he had hinted as well, playing as a kind of a second striker, but also being able to drop in as an extra midfielder. And I guess, look, you know, Simeone is watching his players in training every single day. He knows a lot better than we do what kind of physical state they're in. So if that's the call that he's made, who are we to argue? But once again, it's a little sign of, we see this, it's kind of a repeated theme from Simeone and Atleti over the last couple of years. They always try and take some steps to maybe be a little bit more attacking, a little bit maybe even more exciting. And that, you know, playing Morata and Costa together would fit into that. But then when it comes to it, they often just take a step back and they won't quite commit to that new idea. And maybe just playing Costa on his own up front. And Simeone said, I'm going to keep alternating them. It'll be Morata or Costa, you know, one starting, the other off the bench, at least for now. Maybe that would change after a couple of games when their match fitness is there.
And then just speaking of Llorente, I know, of course, we had a little discussion pre this hit about, you know, if he will even have a new role just in the team from now on, considering the fireworks that he did show at Anfield, knocking Liverpool out of the Champions League. That's what, you know, we remember. And that's probably what more of us would like to see as Atletico Madrid, even though, like you said, too much attacking is definitely not the Atleti way. But do you feel like we're going to start to see him more and more in a new kind of more attacking role?
It's really interesting. And it's not something we've necessarily seen before from Marcus Llorente. I've watched him a lot going right back to when he was a Real Madrid youth player. And he never played in that kind of advanced role. He was always a central midfielder, sometimes a holding midfielder. When he was on loan at Alaves, he played a bit more of a box-to-box role. But he's never been a second striker. And I wonder if this is something that's taken everyone, even Simeone, a little bit by surprise. You know, Simeone was saying about that game at Anfield, everyone thought it was a defensive move when I took off Costa for Llorente, but look what happened. He went and scored 2 goals. But I think Simeone might have been a bit surprised as much as anyone by what Llorente did there. But the fact is, I mean, it worked. And Llorente has some of those qualities, though. He's got a great engine. He can cover a lot of ground. And he's got that ability to arrive late into the box and contribute going forward. And there were signs of it working today. That Llorente had some really nice moments kind of involved in the build-up play and some very, very good touches. It's going to need maybe a little bit of fine-tuning because, like I say, it's something that's new for him and it's new for his teammates as well. But yeah, it's definitely one to watch.
And then finally, just before we go out, just looking ahead for Atletico Madrid and what they want to achieve probably in these last couple of games to finish this La Liga season. I know that you, of course, wrote with our other colleague, Sam Marsden, kind of looking at all the teams. And for Atletico, you said that this is make and break for them because up until that match against Liverpool, they have been underwhelming, so to speak, even though there were such high hopes for them at the beginning of the season last year. So what do you think they need to aim to achieve now from these last couple of matches? And from what you saw today, even though if it's just the first match back, do you think they can?
Yeah, what they want is quite simple. What they need is top four. They need Champions League football. They're in a very tricky situation financially. They were in a difficult situation financially even before the coronavirus pandemic struck. They didn't have much spare cash. And that's even more so now. You've seen the players taking a 70% pay cut. They really won't have any money at all to spend this summer. And when they're looking at their budget for next season, you're talking about losing, up to sort of hundreds of millions of euros if they don't make the Champions League. It's absolutely massive. So that's the bottom line. They need Champions League football. And I think you hinted at it there. Atletico Madrid now, they are a Champions League club. They've got the infrastructure. They've got the shiny new stadium. They're building a new training ground. They're spending, 126 million euros on João Felix, who was suspended today, by the way. So they're acting like a big club, and they've got the budget of a big club, but they need to maintain that level now. And if they don't, they could be in serious trouble. So very simply, the target is Champions League qualification, and then they'll see what they can do in Europe. There's a really nice quote from their captain, Koke, a few weeks ago. He was saying, look, Atletico, it's been a weird time. And Atletico are kind of a weird club. And in strange times, he feels like it could be their moment to do something special. Maybe that will come in Europe. But like I say, domestically, it's very simple. They have to make the top four.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.